And again, I apologize for kind of pulling this together last minute. I meant to do it last week, but it's just been a crazy couple of weeks for me. So but we need to have one of these because we got some, I think we do have some important decisions to make about what the structure of our meetings look like as we kind of go forward and try to meet again. And as far as I think we need to hand over leadership as well here pretty soon. So I guess we'll try to do that next week, Jay. Yeah.
You want to do that next week, or do you want to do it the first week in July, or the first meeting in July?
Yeah, that would be July, what, 7th?
8th, I believe.
Okay, yeah, because we're not meeting the 1st. So why don't we plan on doing it the 8th? You know, and hopefully I can be there. If not, you know, you guys know what to do. So
yeah, that guy that's not.
We'll manage this. Maybe you can zoom me in or something.
Yeah, yeah.
If we got you'll be the first president to hand over the reins in Zoom.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Zoom out of there.
We kind of planned in our meetings of, and I'm sure that's on the topics tonight of actual physical meetings, to have that, you know, the 24th, and I think in my mind the next weekend is really the dry run of how do we have these meetings together? How do we have them when we're trying to make sure we're social distance, and do we have enough people and that kind of thing? But assuming all goes well, 2 weeks later, have the plans for in person. But I don't think we have to necessarily have all of that in person. Some people are just not gonna be comfortable meeting, and that's okay. Yep. And that's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, like, I don't know that I'm going to come next week or not yet. Just, you know, I feel my wife and I have been so careful the last few months. It's like,
well, you've got bigger
so close. Yeah.
And I've blocked off starting today. I blocked off my schedule to be able to take it over, and we have had that conversation of, you know. And I kind of asked you about when your due date was a month or so ago, and I made sure that I would be available as easily as I can, so that I could take over early if needed. And that's part of Rotary. I mean, we're just we all kind of work together. I mean, you're going to have your second kid, and that's an awesome deal, man. I'm happy for you. If that happens early and you need to step back, then I'm ready to take over and run with it. And if not, then finish out your year. I mean, it is. I think we can play with it however we need to.
Yeah, I mean, my question would be that, so you guys have already talked to Alex at Beachside, right? And he's good to go.
Correct.
What happens, and I feel like we need to kind of maybe send out and try to get RSVPs just so we can get a head count and see how many people are actually planning to go. I mean, we did a straw poll today, and more than half of the people on the Zoom meeting said they would go. So, I mean, but that was about 6. Do you think that Beachside Bistro would be flexible with us if we only show up with like 12 people?
I doubt it.
What if we, instead of paying for a buffet meal, have members just order off the menu?
I don't know. I think that's a tough one too, because they set the side. In my mind, I think we as a club jump for it and see what we get. If we get 10 people next week, then I think we're going to have to sit down with Alex and say our club isn't ready, and
Mhm.
we'll have to eat those extra 8 meals. But at the same token, I mean, if we get 20, then we are, and we'll continue on. But I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the challenges that we have as a club. But I you know, and I think, and Kern speak up. But I think they have their 18 number, and I think that number is what they have to do okay with us meeting. And I think we can't back much down from that because they're losing money, and
Yeah.
that's just one of the tough balances we have.
Yeah, I would say we could certainly bring it up with them, but I wouldn't count on them having any flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, they're probably working on a smaller margin right now.
Yeah.
I heard food costs are through the roof, and I don't know if you guys heard Kitty Hawk Rotary Club got kicked out of the Duck Woods last week.
Really?
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that.
What
Yeah,
happened?
they said they couldn't accommodate them anymore.
Oh,
That they needed to focus on their own members. They didn't have the staff and the resources to.
Wow.
So I don't know if there was any. That's just what Linda told me, who I work with, but I don't know if there's any other negotiations going on or what. But they've.
well, at least it wasn't like when the home builders had the food fight back in the 80s.
Not that I'm aware of, but you never know with that group. So, but I think, the restaurants are probably feeling some pressure. So, yeah, maybe that makes them less flexible right now.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't look like we're in we're in a really bad place financially. So even if we have to eat a few extra meals, maybe that's worth it, especially in the short term. So.
Well, I think that,
You said
go ahead, Stan.
doing an RSVP, or at least have an option. Not twisting people's arms to go. But make sure that people that haven't been coming to Zoom meetings even know that they have the option.
Yeah.
How do we have an option for the Zoom meeting?
Well, I'm going to, hopefully if we have bandwidth, I'm going to Zoom that in-person meeting also, so that people can sit in via Zoom.
So you'll sit in the back with your laptop, or
I'll probably have my iPad up close so that we can see you.
cool.
Yeah,
Put it up on the
great
podium.
idea because, well, we've got 2 from Currituck now. It's a pretty long drive for them to come.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's an excellent idea to keep Zooming.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're stuck. I think we've got to stick with Zoom, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, we've got Tamron on board for the reason that we kind of agreed that we were going to continue with Zoom.
Yeah.
But I think the other part of it is, I mean, we got to realize that when we left, well, it wasn't Golden Corral. What was it? Best
Western Sizzling.
Yeah.
Western Sizzling. They wanted our business, and eventually, when things somewhat normalize, that business is still going to be there, and we're a bigger club than we were then.
Mm-hmm.
So we may have to make some adjustments in the short term, and maybe that means that we don't meet there for a while. I don't know, and I think we like we were saying, we may have to eat a few meals in the short term to figure that out, and we're not going to eat too many. I mean, if we have 8-10 people show up for the first few meetings, we're going to have to reassess as a club, and maybe we meet somewhere like the park or somewhere else to where we can do something, that isn't as taxing money-wise on our club. But I think the other reality of it is ultimately they do want our business, and when things get back to normal or back to what the new normal will be, we're gonna be in a good position because I think they do want our business. We keep them in business year round, and they don't have that as much when it comes in the fall and winter, and they're going to want that. And so I think we're just going to have to play it by ear, and that's going to be the challenge of the next few months, to see where we are, how can we meet and not just Zoom. And who knows? I mean, we're jumping up. Obviously we've had 11 new cases of COVID in Dare County in the past 5 days. I mean,
Yep.
if that's a trend that continues, maybe we don't want to meet for a while. I just think there's a lot of answers that we can't answer right now. And I think we should try to meet next Wednesday. And I think we should try to meet in 2 weeks from then. And then I think we're going to have a good idea of what our club wants to do. And I think at that point, we'll reassess and figure out what we should do as a club.
Okay. So we'll proceed with meetings, 2 meetings in person on next week and on the 8th. And let's send out an email tonight to see if just make sure everyone knows what we're doing and see if we can get some RSVPs.
Yeah.
And let them know that they have a Zoom option as well. So there will be an opportunity to Zoom into the meeting.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
Cool. Excellent.
And I think that's a great plan, Rob, because I think that we also, in all of this, we need to keep touching our club members as to what they want. I mean, we're the board and we ultimately help decide, but we have to, it's not a top-down kind of decision. It really is. We want it bottom up. We want our club to tell us what they want us to do, what they're comfortable with, what we want to be as a club. And that's how we keep our members, and that's how we keep safe, and how we can do the most good is we keep in touch with our club, and if they don't want personal meetings this early, then we scrap it after a few weeks, and we'll play it by ear from there.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's see. Finances. Everybody got the financial report. I don't know if everyone looked at it.
Yes.
I'm just kind of glancing at it here. Nothing really jumps out at me. I did want to ask you, Kern, so the proposal for Don to cover some outstanding dues for members, nobody has really emailed me to take advantage of that. But I was a bit concerned when you told me that we had like 23 members who had not paid yet. Is that that was 2 weeks ago, I think. So
Yeah, and that's, I think we've had 4 pays since then.
okay, so there's still some outstanding.
Yeah, there's still some outstanding, and I got 2 I want to write off tonight.
Okay.
And then I also want to discuss how to bill for third quarter, because that was something that when I took over from Lisa, it was really nice that she had billed from third quarter, and I didn't have to hassle with it. But Ryan Henderson, I'll just be honest with you, the YMCA is the worst paying outfit that we've had to deal with. They'll skip invoices, and and then if you get a payment and our computer applies it to the oldest invoice, well then we'll say they owe for the next oldest. Well, no, we paid that one. And it just so anyway, there's a balance for Ryan, and I have to apologize. Everybody has a copy of the financial report but me. I left mine at the office. So, but Ryan owes, I think it's $600 or $700, and we're not going to get it. He's been out of the club for a couple of years now. I send him a statement constantly. You never get a reply. So I think we ought to write that off. There's a problem with Moose's employer. They refused to pay for Moose's dues when he was the general manager. And that's prior to June 1 of last year was when he stepped down. And we're not going to get that. We're just beating a dead horse on that. So I think we ought to write that off too. And that's in the $600-700 range also. So I think I'll make a motion to write off those two receivables.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. The next thing that we need to talk about is how to bill for the third quarter.
Hey, well, before we move on to that, Kearns, I just want to go back to the outstanding dues. What I want to do is try to figure out with you who has gotten into trouble since the pandemic started. And I don't know, is there an easy way to kind of figure that out and see
Well,
if we can differentiate between people who are kind of late pay or, issues with work versus people who have just kind of disappeared?
Yeah.
Because
maybe we sit down and go through them line by line. I mean, the report that I can print out of QuickBooks will give you the 30, 60, 90, 100 day, 120 over 120 day spread. So, we can kind of see who's got an old receivable and who doesn't. And of course, there's a lot of $80 balances, and that'll be the last round that I billed in April or May, I guess it was.
Yeah, because I feel like we might need to reach out to some people individually and just let them know that,
and just say, hey, we've got, an anonymous donor that wants to help out. If you want to take advantage of that,
yeah,
then I'll apply for that. Anonymously. He won't know who you are, and
right,
you won't know who he is.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see if I can send you a list tomorrow.
Okay.
And let you know. And we can go from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
It'd be a lot easier if they just reply to you and tell you.
Yeah, but
I guess they feel bad about it.
And I don't know how anyone else is, but I have like 1,000 unopened emails in my inbox right now. It's just like we're just inundated with stuff. So like I understand how people could miss things too, Yeah. So.
Well, you do get a tremendous amount of junk.
Yeah. Crazy.
Makes me feel good. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for that, Kearns. Now third quarter billing.
Yeah. Third quarter billing, in the past for the non-family members, we would bill, for the meals.
Right.
And, and the difference between the 80 and the 197 was the meals. And, I don't, we, count on having 13 meetings a quarter. And now we don't know how many meetings we're going to have at the Sea Ranch this coming quarter. I mean, I could go ahead and bill for half meals, or I actually had the idea of maybe billing for this meeting on the 24th, plus the every other meeting during the third quarter, which would be fine if we knew we were going to be doing it the whole quarter. But we just need some direction on how we want to go with that. I mean, if we can bill we could continue to build a family membership and have people pay for their meals when they come. But that causes problems for people who's like their employer pays their dues. You know, their employer is not going to reimburse them for that meal expense.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been rolling that around in my head. What do you guys think?
Well, we got a couple weeks to see how it's going to go. So we could hold off for a couple weeks and make a more decision at that point. I mean, that's just my thought off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I think at the most we will be doing probably like every other meeting.
Yeah.
If it works out.
Yeah, I think I've looked at the calendar, and I think what we would end up having is 6 meetings in the third quarter if we meet every other week at the Sea Ranch, and then throw in the one on the 24th because we haven't billed for that.
Right.
And if we do that, then you know, I would bill for like 7/13 of the old meal allocation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a place to start. And we'll find out on the 24th if it seems viable that we're going to be moving forward.
Yeah, and we can send the dues bills out after the 8th as far as that goes.
Yeah.
See what kind of attendance we get the 24th and the 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a good decision for the next leadership team.
Yeah.
All right, another thing we might want to consider is, you know, the effect COVID's going to have on Oink and Oyster.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if we lose the revenue from Oink and Oyster, well, you know, if you look at the net from that and you look at the amount of donations we made, we can make it without a Oink and Oyster, but we can't give any donations to anybody.
Yeah.
So if we're not doing Oink and Oyster, you know, we might want to consider bumping up the family membership rate, say from 80 to 90 or something, just so that the new board will have a little bit of extra money.
What do you mean?
Plus, you're going to have increases in things. You know, it seems like the Rotary International dues and the district dues always bump up a little bit every 6 months. So it's probably time maybe to increase that.
And it's
When are we gonna go?
how we do that. I think that is normal. We haven't raised our dues for a long time.
It was 197 when I became the treasurer.
Yeah, 3 years ago or 4.
Yeah, and just to give you, for instance, back then everybody was paying with a check.
Yeah.
And now, when people pay with a credit card, we're losing $6 on every 197. So, you know, but I'm you know, I worked retail too many years. I can't charge $203. You know?
Yeah.
But still, we have to consider that the credit card charges are an additional expense to the club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it builds up to get a more significant number the more members we have.
Exactly, and more doing the credit card.
Yeah.
Especially this quarter.
It is much easier. I mean, I do that. And if my dues were $10 more, if they were $210 instead of $197.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Kern. So do you think going from 80 to 90 is enough, or?
Well, I haven't done an analysis on it, but I just kind of wanted to find out how the board felt about, increasing the dues at this point, given that we're in a COVID situation?
I don't think it's a big deal because we're kind of reducing them anyway if we're not charging for meals, so, or we're charging for half meals or something. So
Agreed.
in a sense, it's maybe a better time to do it. I don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, thinking about Oink and Oyster, I mean, a lot of the revenue we made last year was from sponsorships. And I would seriously doubt we're going to get, half of that. We'd be lucky to get half of that, I think.
Yeah.
So even if we are able to pull it off, I mean, that's the other big
there's
question.
still some sponsorship money out there that's owed to us.
Yeah, and that's money we're not going to get. I can guarantee you. One of it was from the YMCA anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think sponsorship money, we should probably forget sponsorship money, because I think there, in my mind, the big question is, and I do the Oink and Oyster and the shrimp cook-off for the Outer Banks Center for Dolphin Research, and I'll say the same thing here that I've said in our boards there, is that so many people are going to be short this year. I question whether we should even try for that, just because most people are trying to just survive right now. And I think that, but I think we're gonna tackle that in a month or so. And that's going to be my first board meeting, is going to be mostly devoted towards that, is how do we have a fundraiser that gets us some semblance of the money that we would have gotten. I don't have that answer. I'd love to have it, but I don't think sponsorship's going to be it. I don't think really much or any of sponsorship's going to be it.
Well, we also got to keep in mind, like, there are some people that are doing very well right now. It's the smaller local businesses are not, but I mean, the Walmarts and Home Depots and Publix of the world are crushing it right now. So there may be some other funds out there if we have some time to look for them.
Well, I'm not sure how we'll have an event, because I mean, we've got those people packed under that tent pretty tight.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, the first question that needs to be answered.
And I don't even know if that's something we should consider. But I think the other part, when you look at the big corporations, is that most of them, they're very forward in their fund, in their what they will support. So many of them, we're already well out of our range for 2020. We would be trying to get them for 2021, and that, so I think that's going to be a tough deal. I mean, most of the.
I think they're changing their strategies a lot. I mean, they're like I said, there may be some other funds out there if we know how to look for them. I mean, the Visitors Bureau comes to mind, is they haven't had any events in the spring or the summer.
But they're cutting back on what they're doling out too. They cut back on, we were going to have the Wine Fest at the Lost Colony this year, and then it got canceled, and they cut our funding like in half from what they would normally give us, or less than half. So I think there's a general tightness of funds across the board. Maybe not with every organization, but a number of them. Yeah. But we should still try and figure out how we can come up with some kind of fundraiser.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think we've got opportunities there, and we even have Rotarians that are in that business. So I think we're just going to have to rub our heads together in July and August and really crank it out to how we can have a fundraiser that doesn't need a sponsorship.
Yeah, what's happening with the casino night? Has there been any? That was planned for next year, though, wasn't it?
I think they're still going as par, and they're kind of planning on if and I spoke to Don a little bit about that, and the plan is we'll continue to plan it for next year, and if it doesn't happen in 2021, we'll at least have that much more planned so that we can do it the next year. So I think that's where that's going.
Okay, because maybe that's something where we can, if Oink and Oyster doesn't make sense, we can put some energy into making that happen.
Sure.
But I'll let you figure that out, Jay.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. It's one of the challenges, and I would have had to deal with it anyway as a Oink and Oyster chair. So
Yeah.
It would have fallen on my plate to try to help with figure that out anyway. And the
Well,
fortunate part is we've got a good crew. I mean, we've got 40 members now. We've got so many people to draw from. I think we're in a good position right now.
Better than ever.
Absolutely.
Still there? I think I lost you guys for a minute. Okay. Well, what were we talking about? Third quarter billing?
Yeah, we were talking about third quarter
Okay.
billing, and really it's more things to be thought about.
So we don't need to make a decision right now about it.
I
Okay.
think as far as third quarter billing, I think Joe is on the spot. I think we run through the next few weeks, and then we're in no rush to bill people.
Right.
Let's roll through. I mean, if we have 10 people at the next two meetings, then obviously we're gonna have to change that. If we have 25 people at the next two meetings, then I think we go with what Kearns was talking about. We bill for 7 of the 13 and roll with it, and then we reassess when the next quarter comes up.
Sounds good.
Or as needed going forward.
Absolutely.
Stay flexible. Adapt it.
The new normal.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, anything else? Oh, the one thing I would ask, I think we need to keep Karen Bachman informed about our meeting plans, because she's having some questions about scheduling and making sure we try to keep up with that and keep having guests, because if we're going to have in-person meetings, I guess people would need warning and stuff. So, but that doesn't really make a difference, I guess, for the next 2 weeks. Well, unless we want to have, I kind of told her I thought we would be changing over next week, but if we wait till the 8th to do that, then
she'll get all the information about the meetings from the email tonight.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And then maybe our first meeting, we don't try to have a guest, we just, we haven't seen each other in so long, there's probably a lot to talk about. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Be nice to just sit and hang out for an hour.
And see how many people show up.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent.
Hey, I'll note that to her also then. So that,
okay. Well, I think that's all, unless there's anything else we need to talk about.
No, I just want to congratulate Rob on inducting 10 members in his year. Jay, you got
Wow, yeah.
you
gotta beat that.
Man, that's some big shoes to fill.
I tell you that I think the retention is going to be the name of the game this coming year.
Yeah. part of it for sure.
Yeah.
We had a
Well, I think the name of the game in the coming year is going to be to keep the momentum going. I mean, I feel like the last year and in your year, Rob, we've really had a lot of momentum going towards projects and keeping people active. And I think my challenge is going to be to keep that going. And gosh, man, if I can just keep it where we are and keep going, I will have succeeded.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do worry as this goes on, and one of the things that I think helped us the last couple of years is that we were doing more projects and being active, and it's hard to do that right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, as I said at the meeting, I'm hopefully tomorrow we'll get a call back from Ross, who is the head of all maintenance in KDH, and try to find some small projects around town that we can do. I'll check with Kitty Hawk and Nag's head up.
Well, I'll tell you one that I think fell in our lap today, and I don't know how we do it, but I mean, the chief was talking about how nobody wanted the fire detectors, smoke detectors, and I think that's something we should consider trying to figure out. And I know, Rob, you had mentioned something about the advertising of it, and maybe we could get some PSAs out there. But I mean, given that that's fresh in our community's mind, we had the child that that passed away, and that was my daughter's age. He was in her grade, and I think that's something that maybe we could jump on and help one of our club members get the word out and be more successful in giving out free smoke detectors. And matter of fact, and I can't remember the gentleman who spoke to our club, but that was one of his mandates in his organization. It was a black gentleman. I can't remember his name, but
the Red Cross.
The Red Cross gentleman. That
Fire
was one
safety.
of the things. Yeah, that they did. So I think that's something we might consider as a service project. That wouldn't really be much, just us as a group trying to get the word out and seeing how successful we could be. And speaking with the chief and working with Kitty Hawk and working with, I know the fire department head in KDH, I could speak with him, John, and that's something we could do. I mean, I think there's several things we can do in our community that don't require us to necessarily get out, but require us to be active in another way. And I think that's the new life that we're going to have to live, is that we're going to have to be flexible. We're, in any given change, those who can be flexible and who can roll with the punches are the ones who are successful. And I think we can do that as a club.
Absolutely. And I think you're onto something too with, it's something that is maybe fresh in people's minds right now, because we
had any source of fire extinguishers.
Yeah, that really grabbed me when he talked about that, because I went through our house and I've only got one extinguisher, and it's on the floor where our stove is, but I don't have any on the other two floors.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I used to have one in my old house, but it was probably 15 years old, and probably wouldn't have done anything if I'd tried to use it.
I got at least 5 in my house and 2 in the shop.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I cook, so I need them.
Well, I could too. So that's why I have one in the kitchen.
We've got a couple too, and I even have one in the old truck just because it's an old truck, and who knows what they do.
Yeah.
I've carried one in my car since I got caught on fire doing about 90 miles an hour across the desert and my dashboard exploded.
Oh,
Yeah, it was fun.
so the motto is don't go to the desert at 90 miles an hour. It's like,
No, I
Well,
was
there's that.
down to 90 when I caught on fire.
Well, Stan is from Kansas, and being from Missouri, we'll forgive him for that, right?
That was on old Route 66, man.
wow.
Oh, buddy. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Beautiful route, by the way.
nice. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so, but I like that idea. I think maybe I'll talk to Mike, see if we can maybe put some videos together and,
Yeah.
see if I can
And
get
I think-
Spectrum to give a little of that airtime that's wide open right now. So
Cool.
Well, I think too, Rob, talk to Moose and maybe there's a PSA that can go out radio and through Spectrum.
yeah, we'll do like a coordinated effort.
And I think again, and the other part of it is just us. I mean, when people hear it from others in the community, they tend to be more receptive, and I always feel that way with masks. I mean, even when I go into places and I'm the only person wearing a mask, I feel like maybe I'm not doing myself a favor as far as risk of COVID, although I do think that it helps. At least I'm there, and the people that were there that were without a mask that maybe have said, well, I don't want to, if nobody else is wearing them and I don't want to be that guy. If we can be that guy, or girl, and they'll feel more comfortable entertaining that discussion. Hey, you know what? Everybody seems to be focused on getting a smoke detector in their house. So I should probably go ahead and do it. And it'll kind of break down that barrier a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's just one example, but whatever we do, I think we have to be cognizant of the fact that us leading by example and helps other people feel more comfortable doing it.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Best leadership model there is.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, gentlemen,
Hey, do you
unless there's
want to have your next meeting?
Run that by me again.
Have a date that you want to have your first board meeting?
My first board meeting? Gosh, I don't know. Probably the week that we get inducted. I mean, I think we should, my original plan with Oink and Oyster, and I think that our next board meeting will be heavy on that, or Oink or whatever it's going to end up being. It'll be around there. So I'll try to figure out a date, but it'll probably be within a week, within around the 10th of July, give or take.
All right. Just think about it and then we'll get it planned.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank all of you guys. We're very lucky that we have a great board here, a great team, especially Stan, Kearns. You guys are rock stars. And, Jay, thanks for stepping in and helping out, not just next year, but the past couple of weeks as well. Yeah, it's great to have you back in there. And, it's been a great year, man. A lot of good things have happened. It's been a crazy, weird year. And
it's been a weird year.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Thanks for ponying up and being president. I mean, that's a challenge. And you've been the one that dealt with the original, what do we do with COVID? And I think that not enough can be said about that. And I think you did a wonderful job of perfect timing of, hey, we got to stop our meetings. And I mean, thanks for being our president, and good luck with being dad number 2. I can tell you, just wait till that second one gets to running, buddy. It's going to be a fun life.
Well,
Emily, it's great.
Emily just figured out how to use doorknobs 2 days ago. So.
Well, number 2, I'm going to tell you, number 2 learns a lot faster because number 1 teaches number 2, especially all the bad habits.
Yeah.
But,
it's too late to change those.
No, it's great, man. You're going to have fun.
Yep.
And
yeah,
you will.
Can't wait.
We're all going to be there with you for it, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks, guys.
there.
I got this meeting recorded and I'll send it out to the rest of the board.
Sounds good. All right.
Good night,
Take
all.
care, gentlemen.
Good night,
And
all.
we may or may not see each other next week.
Hey.
Good seeing y'all.
All right.
Yep.
Good night. Service above self.
Service above self.
Service above self.